So, to begin with, welcome everyone to TEDxAmboli. Now, I always had this notion that a person has multiple personalities within themselves, multiple emotions, multiple personalities, and depending on the situation around them, they decide which emotion to get out of, which situation, which kind of personality you have to show to the world. Now, today, I'll be focusing more towards the personality that is of wonderness. I'll be addressing my talk towards the feeling or the personality of wonderness. Now, please don't get me wrong or don't misunderstand between what wonderness means and what it means to be lost. When you face a new situation or when you face some fear or unpredicted situation, when you succumb to that fear of unpredictiveness, that is the moment when you lost, when you feel lost and when you know that you're lost in the situation. And when you are fool enough to actually get up and to actually fight back and wander around focusing on the journey rather than what the result might be, you become a wanderer. So let me give a little more index about the same by giving an example of one of the greatest launches that have ever happened in India. Let's go back in history. Let's talk about the launch which happened in the year 1979. India was just coming out of Indo-Pakistan war. We were still trying to be more stable in terms of economy while being criticized of why we are using so much money, investing so much into organizations like ISRO and all. So while ISRO was being mocked and questioned, ISRO had one of the most important launches lined up, that is of SLV-3. The launch of which the project director was Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam himself. And at that time, uh, Dr. Satish Dhawan were the chairman of ISRO. Now, this was one of the most important launches for India because we have to answer back to the world. We have to answer back everything, every mockery that has been done to us. At There was a launch period T minus 40, and there was an error on computer saying that we have to hold the launch. SLV-3 was not ready to be launched in the air. As a project director, APJ Abdul Kalam sir took a call. He consulted all the experts, and we went through with the launch. T minus 3, T minus 2, and T minus 1. SLV-3 launched, and within 5 minutes was down, merging in Bay of Bengal. The questions that was asked by the world, we weren't able to answer that at that period of time. Now, that was a moment when I'm sure Satish Dhawan, Dr. Satish Dhawan, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, they all felt loss. We all knew that we have failed drastically. As a leader or as a person who was leading, it would have been much easier for Satish Dhawan, Dr. Satish Dhawan, to actually blame it on other people and walk out. That would have been the easiest way to do. But what he did was he took the blame on himself only because he knew that he had a team of dumb, gutsy people who will stand back up. They weren't the people who were going to take that loss on his chest. They stood back up. They knew that they are going to be back within a year with a new launch. So Dr. Satish Dhawan took that courage, took that belief, and he knew that he had a team who would walk an extra mile. He knew that while APJ Abdul Kalam was a person or bird at that moment whose wings were on fire that day, but he knew that he was not an ordinary bird, but a phoenix who would rise from their ashes. He trusted that, and here we are. Yesterday we have launched Chandrayaan 3 successfully. So, taking some leaves out of my own life, I have been an engineer by education. I'm one of those engineers who weren't interested in being an engineer. So, for a lot, after a lot of hard work, I actually got a drop in third year. So, I was one of the people who blamed the world for it. I've blamed everyone for my failure, for my drop, for my KTs, and everything. In third year, when I actually got a time span to actually think about what is happening, the one biggest epiphany that I had was that 5 years down the line, who will I blame? Who will I blame for my failures, for my poverty, for me not being able to meet my ends? And at that moment, I took things in my own hand. I started my career in digital marketing. That is one of the new fields which is more gutsy thing to do when you have a parents like uh, mediocre parents and you have to convince them that I'll be doing something new rather than engineering. So I got into that. Uh, Now one of the things that influenced me a lot was Kobe Bryant's Mamba mentality. If you guys know, I don't have any idea, can't see you properly, but yeah, Mamba mentality is all about giving your best every single moment. And that is what the theme of the talk has been, mile to go before I sleep. Now just think for a second that if you can just walk an extra mile every day, extra mile more than what your peers are having or walking or what your competitors are doing, just think about how far you can go just within a year. After a year, you will be 365 miles more ahead than your peers or competitors. That is what you aim for. That is what we should actually aim for. Actually aim for. Now, to end this talk, I want to conclude it by actually trying to make you understand that at the end of the day, we all know what the climax of this whole thing is going to be. It's kind of anticlimax, but we all know that we're going to die, right? That's the whole end of this thing. But what we need to understand is that before we sleep or before we actually die, we have to make sure that we walk a little, walk a mile extra every day. We can live a little extra every day. It doesn't matter how much glorious your death is. What actually matters is how much satisfying your life has been. Thank you so much.